All right, it's some 12 minutes after 8 time now for my banner. Now, the Start Ghana program, which has supported civil society activities for the past 5 years, is coming to an end. They call it Star One. Start Ghana funding support has supported many organizations to carry out very critical activities towards national stability and development. Some of these include support to the IEA to organize the presidential debates across the country. I'm sure you remember that one. Support to the Peace Council, for instance, for some organizations to ensure peace during and after the 2012 general elections. Star Ghana had also supported over 300 organizations under its various operational areas to ensure transparency, accountability, and greater access for citizens to health care, education, governance, as well as justice. We have benefited from a collaboration with Star Ghana as well. I'm sure you remember Clean Communities, our project here on the Joy News channel. So it would be very appropriate for us to talk about more into detail what is going to happen now that the first phase of it is ended. What will happen? Would we get more funding? Will the programs continue? We know that the 2016 general elections is just around the corner, and if you think about how important the role they played in terms of funding some of these key organizations was, then we would want more, wouldn't we? So when we come back, I'll introduce to you my guests here on my banner, and then the discussions will be underway. Stay with us. It is still the AM show. Okay, so this morning we're actually talking about Star Ghana's contribution to Ghana's democratic process, especially in maintaining Ghana's peace and stability during and after the 2012 elections. And if you consider that their contribution has been really crucial, then what will happen in 2016? So I'm happy to be hosting Mr. Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, who is the program manager at Star Ghana. Good morning to you, sir. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Thank you.
So Star Ghana is such a big deal. You support a lot of people, a lot of media houses also, I must say.
Yeah.
This phase one is ended or almost getting to an end. What does it mean?
Well, it means the budget that was allocated for these 5 years of Star Ghana's operation from 2010 to 2015 has ended. A new phase would be started later in 2015, but the details are still being worked out by the donors.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much money have you spent? I mean, you guys have a lot of money. I think at one point I wanted to work with Star Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Where'd you get all the money from?
Well, Star Ghana is a pooled fund, which means that a number of donor organizations have come together to put their funding into one basket. That basket is called Star Ghana. Now, we had a total of 36 million US dollars as the grants budget, which is the money available to give out to organizations, including the media and parliament, to undertake various actions towards national development. So we had a $36 million budget for the first phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you use it? I think I outlined a few of the things that you did,
okay.
Particularly during the elections. But okay, how have you used this money?
Well, early in the program, we had to make a choice as to whether we wanted to support everything under the sun, which would have meant being able to support as many initiatives as possible, but not really going deep, or to focus on a few critical areas and therefore be able to achieve a critical mass that can push development. So we opted for the latter, which means that we focus on 5 thematic areas: health, education, oil and gas, access to justice, and governance. And 2 cross-cutting areas, that's parliament and the media. Now, the election was kind of what we describe as a strategic opportunity. We had a situation in this country we needed to support, and therefore we provided funding for that. So that's how we divided the $36 million.
Let's talk about the media houses that you've supported. We have had Clean Communities, a project that was heavily funded by Star Ghana. Yeah. But when you're associating yourselves with some of these media houses, what are you looking out for?
Well, we're coming from the point of view that the media is not just there, when I say just advisedly, to inform, entertain, etc., but that the media has a critical role to play as an active participant in national development efforts. And so what we sought to do was to work with the media in such a way that, one, we support them to pilot initiatives where the media undertake advocacy actions, either linked to or independent of their news activities, whatever. The second was then to use that as a way of beginning to broker a relationship between the media and civil society organizations. More often than not, civil society organizations see the media as those that you call when you want to issue a press statement or you want to cover something. But we thought that there is a way in which the media and civil society can work together, to undertake activities. And there are various examples of very successful programs, including clean communities. Yeah,
amazing. A program that would take you to places that would otherwise not highlight.
Exactly.
But this time we're not just doing a news story.
Exactly.
Trying to help them fix the problem.
Exactly.
Let's start the initiative and then you copy it and take it up from there, which was really, really different.
Yes, just get you to step out of your usual or your comfort zone and see what else can the media do beyond talking about it, to really galvanizing people to undertake actions.
I think our prayer and hope really is that these communities will pick the projects on their own and continue, because that's what we want to see. And
also that the media would also sustain it.
I think the problem for us, and I'm talking the media in general, because a lot of us are private, we need some sort of collaboration to be able to do these things, because it's very expensive to undertake. But let's talk about elections, because it's really, really important. And I was surprised to know that you were behind the Peace Council as well.
Well, we did not support the Peace Council as an organization or as an institution, but we supported various activities towards, promoting or ensuring peace before, during, and after the elections.
So what will happen in 2016? I think the heat is even on already. And when it gets to that crucial time, the debates was amazing. Would we see something like that again?
Well, hopefully, yes. So long as there is a promise of a phase 2 of the program, definitely. But then, because the IEA debate was the national one, everybody focused attention on that. But we actually supported debates even at the constituency levels. We supported GTV to organize a debate for the presidential candidates who did not make it to the IEA platform. So there were quite a number of debates, and there are some very interesting examples of what people were doing even at the subnational levels to engender discussions around the issues.
But the thing about, and I remember, I remember the role that members of the Peace Council, the reason I mentioned them, the role that they played when we were told at one point that somebody was changing figures and that kind of thing. When the heat is on at that moment, some of these key players play a really, really important role in terms of calming the nerves down. Would you invest heavily in the elections again? I mean, if you get your 2015 budgets.
Well, of course, I mean, the elections could almost be described as a precursor to what happens post-2016. So if you don't lay a good foundation using the elections, then you would spend the whole period after the elections trying to deal with issues and problems and therefore stalling national development efforts. So we see an investment in the elections really as an investment in the future. And we need to look beyond just the act of going to cast your ballot to looking at all the things that need to be done before even the voting day and after voting.
Okay, so are there some projects that you're supporting now?
Currently, no. All our projects have ended.
Okay.
They ended in December, and we hope to start very soon.
Very soon, like how soon? I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only person who is eager to get your
well,
your projects underway.
I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of the donors. or our steering committee, but we do hope that we will be able to start some work around the elections and also the district assembly elections as soon as
which is in March.
Which is in March, as soon as possible. Yeah.
Okay. Are you getting more money this time around?
Well, again, the budgets are being worked out. I don't want to preempt what the donors will say, but the prospects are quite good for the phase 2 of the program.
What is it that they look out for in supporting a country such as ours?
Well, I think there's the alignment between their strategic objectives and then what's happening in the country. Ghana is a country that is seen as an example for other countries, particularly in the West Africa sub-region, when it comes to democracy. So investing in Ghana's democracy first stabilizes the country, stabilizes the sub-region, and also provides an example to other countries. And then secondly, but they also have their own interests, oil, private sector development, etc. And therefore they decide to provide such funding.
I think one area we haven't really talked about much is oil and gas.
Yeah.
Your contribution in that sector, what is it supposed to really do?
Well, we invested close to $3 million supporting various civil society organizations. One, to look at the transparency in contracting. To what extent, is there transparency around the allocation of oil blocks, what goes into the contracts, the people know about it, etc. There's a second level about the regulatory framework. Parliament is passing laws regulating the oil and gas sector. To what extent are citizens involved? The third one is the communities that are impacted by the oil and gas find. How well are they involved in the impact assessment programs? How well are they involved in the implementation of impact mitigation processes? And the third level is actually working with Parliament, the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, to help strengthen its capacity to be able to oversight that sector. So those were the three key areas of our support to the oil and gas sector.
Have you thought about supporting the power sector as well?
Well, it may come up in the next phase, I don't know. But what we've been keen not to do is to duplicate what our donors are doing.
Already doing.
So if they have invested in the power sector, we might then go in and look at the software part of it. For example, how are citizens involved, in the discourse, in the monitoring, etc. But we wouldn't go and say, okay, we are helping ECG or VRA or Gridco to do some specific lessons here.
How do you work alongside the government of Ghana? Is there some sort of collaboration or connection between the two?
The main point of connection is actually Parliament.
Okay.
We have a very significant stream of work supporting Parliament. We're looking at strengthening the capacity of the parliamentary service. We're looking at strengthening the capacities of 10 committees. And we're also working with the Speaker and his leadership to see what are the big constraints to Parliament's effectiveness, standing orders, scrutiny, etc. So that's been our support to Parliament.
So how do we see, if it's supporting one media house or the other, we would see the work.
Yeah.
When we talk about Parliament, how do we see the results? How do we feel you?
Well, you should feel Parliament and not us, because we are supporting them to do better, what they are supposed to be doing. So with Parliament, for example, the 10 committees, health, education, those around the 5 lessons, we've been working with them to see what technical support do they need to do what they're supposed to be doing. And then some funding to enable them undertake some activities. So the education committee, for example, has gone out to several communities to see what is happening on the ground and to come back and feed that into their work with the government agencies. Health, the same thing. The leadership, we supported some leaders of Parliament to even go to Sunyani, to Bolga, to this in Tamale, go and meet citizens and answer citizens' questions about what they're doing.
Okay.
As a way of demystifying the work of Parliament and letting people know that, yes, I can ask questions of my representative in Parliament. What are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? So you can feel that in the effectiveness of Parliament, particularly the oversight, but you wouldn't feel stagnant directly. We've provided support to the legal committee, for example, to work on the Right to Information Bill. And when that is passed, at least even institutions like yours would be able to access the information.
That's one thing that's been on our hearts for some time now. So what exactly is your collaboration helping to achieve?
One was to mobilize civil society to engage as a collective with Parliament. The second was then to organize or facilitate the engagement processes. Most of the time we have civil society standing on one corner shouting across the parapet. Then you have Parliament on the other corner saying that these people are not engaging with us and they don't understand the intricacies of lawmaking. So why don't you bring the two together? And that's what we've been doing over the past 2.5 years.
You're not in Parliament yourself, but when will the law be passed? We've been waiting for such a long time.
Well, again, I wouldn't presume to speak on behalf of Parliament. But we'll see that from where I sit, I know that quite a lot of work has been done. But maybe you might want to ask a parliamentary.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Else I'll be hauled for contempt.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So my guest is Ibrahim Tanko Amidu. He's program manager of Star Ghana. And we're talking about the contributions of Star Ghana, really, and I would say Star 1 because we are on to Star 2. Star 1 is ended. Their contribution to Ghana's democratic process. They're doing a lot of work in different areas. Amazing. So these are top NGOs coming together to put some money into one basket to support the country. So from where we are, as a country, do you see a lot more of these supports?
Well, I think the supports may continue to come, but maybe look at different, or we'll be focusing on different areas. My sense is that the donors are beginning to look away from support to governance activities as we used to do, to look more around private sector development. If you knew of CIDA, the Canadian International Development Agency, they have changed their name and they are focusing more on private sector development. If you look at DANIDA, I think there's that transition. So there would continue to be funding, but I think the focus would change. Yes.
So how does it work for you? Do you accept proposals from individuals who've got plans that you can invest in, or these are your own initiative as Star Ghana that you would support Parliament and you support these people in that group?
Well, we don't support individuals. We support organizations for a number of reasons. Very briefly, one, we want to reduce the fiduciary risk. We give you as an individual money, it becomes very difficult to track. We give an organization money, there's a legal entity we can hold accountable for the delivery of the results and etc. And two, we think that working through organizations promotes greater sustainability. But to your question itself, we don't encourage or we don't receive a lot of unsolicited proposals. We put out a call for proposal. So we might ask for proposals on health, or we might put out a call on the media, and then any organization that's interested will put in the proposal. So the last media call, for example, we put out a call to the media inviting proposals. We got well over 60 proposals. We winnowed, and I think we ended up with about 21 media organizations we are supporting across the country. Across the country,
yes. Because I think I had Joy FM, City FM as well. There was a certain collaboration.
If you watch TV3, this Mission Ghana program was funded by Star Ghana. You go to Bolga, where the FM is working with the district assembly on the Assembly's Common Fund. You go to Cape Coast, there's a TV station there, Coastal TV, that is working with Parliament on Know Your MP program. So there's a variety of programs cutting across the length and breadth of the country. We're working with Blogging Ghana, which is social media. We're working with GNA, which is a wire service. So with the different types of media organizations and different actions.
Big question. Will these programs continue still with your support? Well,
we hope that they would continue without our support. That's actually the aim. That we provide the funding to you to pilot a certain way of working. And if it works, you might want to look at how else do you fund it. So Clean Communities, for example, you've tried it, it's achieved results. Would you want to partner with local government? Would you want to partner with some other organizations to take it and expand the scope? Of course, if Star Ghana is still in existence, we would be more than happy to work with you.
Okay.
But we hope that our funding provides a way of testing an idea, and
Like
then you can upscale it.
Like a stepping stone, step on it and, you know, do the jumping.
We give you the initial push. You know, when something is stationary, it needs a push to start moving. And that's
so what would your Star Ghana 2, where would the focus be? What sort of areas would you be looking at?
The details are being worked out, but I think governance is one key area. Anti-corruption is the second area that we'll be looking at. And of course, we'll still continue to focus, look at social services, health and education, particularly for girls and women, particularly for citizens living in deprived areas of the country, and particularly for persons with disability.
Okay.
So those would be kind of the three, but we would of course look at other areas such as access to justice, decentralization, etc.
Amazing. I would like to say thank you really for your time.
You're welcome.
Unless there was something that I missed that you want to share with us.
Well, I think that we have civil society organizations play a very important role in our governance. Sometimes when we talk about this, people tend to look at the NGOs, but civil society goes beyond NGOs, and it's incumbent on all of us to get involved in national development at various levels through whatever. If it is your area association you want to get involved in to ensure that you monitor and hold ECG accountable, that is a way of getting involved in development.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim Tanko Amido, is Programs Manager at Star Ghana. We're still waiting. We're keeping our fingers crossed to see when the second phase will actually get underway. Please do let us know.
We'll let you know.
In fact, when the your budget is accepted and the money's come through, let us know.
I would let
Maybe
you know.
I'll have a proposal for you. All right, so stay with us. We've got a big game later this evening. It's Ghana versus Senegal, but how are we gearing up for that match? That is what we're talking about next here on the AM show. In the meantime, Facebook is active. Just go to facebook.com/Joy News on TV. And I love it when you give us a lot of feedback, and you are doing it. I'll come back and share some of your thoughts with everybody else.